Welcome everyone once again to the vinyl community, Guncles. Here we are once again, and we're so glad to have you here with us as we tell you all about our top 5 favorite albums from The Who this time. So yeah, let's get all those jokes out of the way.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Ooh.
So yeah,
Oh,
The
yes.
Who.
We're done. We're done.
So the general rules that we always have: no live albums, no greatest hits compilations. But The Who's discography is very messy. Very messy.
It is.
And so we are allowing, if the individual person wants, the non-hits compilations, the compilations of B-sides or whatever that they came out with as they were happening. This is basically 3 albums: Magic Bus, Odds and Sods, and Who's Missing. So if each individual wants to make those albums part of their top 5, they can. They don't have to. So that's pretty much it. No live album, no live at Leeds, because we don't want that argument. But yeah, so The Who. Will anybody have any 80s albums in their top 5? We're about to find out. We are the Vinyl Community Guncles. I'm Robert Fithen, along with Mike from Hubtunes, Richard from Calvin Wazoo, and ladies and gentlemen, the man who, before this, had never heard a Who album before, with the exception of a compilation. So this will be interesting.
Very.
Mike is first. Oh, Craig from Craig's Final Plethora is his name.
Yeah.
Almost forgot to say who you were.
That's okay. I hope they know.
Yeah, at this point. Welcome, new viewers.
Yeah, new
Mike
viewers, it's me. Mike,
is first.
Yeah. So The Who. I'm a child of the '80s and early '80s and late '70s, and I grew up on classic rock. You know, Zeppelin and Rush and the Doors and the Beatles and the Who and the Stones, and so I was very familiar with the entire discography. But when I was a kid, I just remember discovering them basically through this, which not one of my records, but the comp of Meaty Beaty Big and Bouncy is really all you need for their first 4 records. And I remember a lot, obviously live at Leeds. If we were putting a live record in, that would probably be number 2, maybe, but this is an album. My number 5 is an album that I always go back to. It's one that I pull off the shelf all the time, and that is Odds and Sods. It's a comp of B-sides and stuff that was left off of other records. I love this record. It's great. There's an extended version of this, which I don't like as much. I like this more condensed version. Postcard opens it up. Now I'm a Farmer. What else does it have? Too Much of Anything. Glow Girl. The second side is one of the best sides of a Who record. Pure and Easy. Faith in Something Bigger. I Am the Face. Naked Eye. And Long Live Rock. That's one of the best sides of a Who record out of all.
I need it every day.
It's someone unwraps his cock. Long live rock.
I love it.
I think he actually says knob or something.
Oh,
cock would rhyme with rock.
It would, and that's disappointing. That
is.
Yeah,
I like the rest of the song though.
Yeah, so I'm going.
I like your version.
My number 5. Odds and Sods.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it is. I love this record.
Okay, my number 4. Well, first of all, The Who to me, I mean, they're a band of extremes. There's no middle. It's extreme. They're either this proto-punk band that's just plug it in, crank it up, rock out, fuck it, woo, attitude, or they're the band that started the rock operas, which is not punk at all. So it's either this extremes going on. Like I said, their discography is really messy. I remember being introduced to the Rolling Stones. I remember breaking through and hearing the Beatles for the first time. I remember hearing the Violent Femmes for the first time. I remember hearing the Pretenders for the first time. I don't remember hearing the Who. They just seemed like they were just creeping up there. Mm-hmm. They were just always there. I don't remember the first time I heard My Generation or the first time I heard Who Are You, or I just don't remember. It's just they were just they kind of like were under the surface. They weren't like Led Zeppelin where they came out with that box set and I just did a deep dive and I was all Led Zeppelin for half a year, or The Clash when I discovered The Clash and I was all The Clash for half a year. The Who was just, I never really had that deep dive or I was obsessed with them or thing. They were just always a great band and had a lot of great songs, but I never really had that. I don't remember my introduction to them. But at number 5, I have The Who Sell Out. A lot of these English bands in the early mid-60s, their UK version of their album is different from their US version. The Who is like that with their first and second albums. Of course, the Beatles are like that. The Rolling Stones are like that. Small Faces, they're all, the Kinks, they're all like that. Where the UK and the US albums are all different, mainly because for whatever reason, people in England don't like putting hit singles on albums. Ridiculous. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But well, not the dumbest, about the 14th dumbest thing I've ever heard. But the Who Sell Out would be a perfect way to. They should have done a US and UK version of this, but unfortunately, it's the same. So we here in America got these ridiculous commercial advertisements that meant nothing to us. This ridiculous opening that goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, I know what the 7 days of the friggin' week. What the hell, people? Make a US. When CDRs first came out, one of the first things I did was make the Who Sell Out. Took out all the stupid commercials and all the Monday, Tuesday, whatever I'm American. I do not get that English radio. I don't care. They're not funny. It's not anything but obnoxious and a waste of my time. If it wasn't for those ridiculous commercials and that intro, this would probably be number 3. But as it is, great songs on here, not listed anywhere on the album.
No.
But it does have the incredible I Can See for Miles. That's one great part. Armenia, the future city, starts it off after we get a roll call of the days of the week. That's a great song. What else is on here? Tattoo is brilliant. I love Tattoo. Talk about ahead of your time. His brother gets a tattoo of a naked lady, and his mom gets upset, but she likes his tattoo because it says "mom." The Riel, the Sunrise. I Can't Reach You is beautiful. The Who getting beautiful on you and very introspective and everything. They were so multi-dimensional. Most people just think of them as the, Pete Townshend's windmill arm and cranking it up and rocking out. But they had some really beautiful songs too. But the Who Sell Out, as it is, with all the extra stuff in there that is really unnecessary, is my number 5.
Yeah, the commercials and the other. Yeah, it's which is why I have a tie for my number 5. The Who Sell Out being one. This is an unopened box set of the CD because
with even more commercials.
Yeah, right. It's like, why do I even want to listen to this? So I've never opened it. But and I won it in some contest or whatever. Maybe I'll sell it someday. But yeah, there are some really good songs on there, but it's just so much other distraction that's going on. But there are good songs, and then one that doesn't end the tie that I like is Who by Numbers. It's not a great album, but it's solid all the way through. And very consistent, and I do like the later sound that they developed. It was a little harder rock, and I don't know, Daltrey's voice just seems to be a little edgier on this record than with some of the others. So, and I like Slip Kid and Squeezebox, and Blue, Red, and Gray. Those are good numbers. But yeah, I had to go with this because there are some really wonderful classic songs on this, but there's a lot of some of the other songs to me are just kind of meh. I was listening to it online a couple times, as we were getting ready for this, and there were times where I just got tired of listening to it, in part because of the commercial stuff, but also because some of the songs to me just are not that they're not that good. But the ones that are, not just I Can See for Miles, but there are other songs on here that are really outstanding and overshadow the other songs. So I like that because of the stronger songs, but I like this one also because of its consistency. So that's my number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah.
Yes, like Mr. Fitton said, I've never heard a Who album in my life. I don't know if I'm going to want to hear a Who album again after this, but no, just kidding. This was actually very nice to listen to all these. I listened to all of them once. And then others, the ones that I've decided that I could listen to again, I listened to those like another 2, maybe 3 times. I'm still not like very knowledgeable or whatever you want to say, but I think I got it down. So yes, before this is the only thing, and honestly, probably the only thing over it. This is a lovely compilation. It's on yellow. So Icon or whatever, and I'm like, it has enough that I need on it. It has songs I hate on it, songs I like, whatever. So number 5 for me, I'm ready, is Who's Next from 1971. Maybe it would have gone higher if that horrible song that I really never want to hear, and maybe it was inventive and maybe it was the most creative thing when it came out in 1971, but I fucking hate Baba O'Reilly. I cannot stand it. Yeah, I'm ready. I fucking hate it. I hear it and I want to die. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand why it's. I mean, again, that like it's creative and it's not for me. It is not. It is not. I won't get fooled again. Wow. I really like that.
Yeah, the guy with the drum loops and doesn't like the electronic. Okay.
I like the shut. I don't like that song.
It's all right, Craig.
So it would have, like I said, probably been higher up for me. I felt it was, other than that, was pretty consistent, and I wanted to listen to it again. So, but Won't Get Fooled Again was the song that I really enjoyed. That's all I have to say about Who's Next.
The Who's a weird band for me because I think like Keith Moon is probably my favorite drummer. I just think he's just unreal. I mean, just watching videos of him, and John Entwistle might be my favorite bassist. I mean,
he's a maniac.
They're both maniacs on their instruments, but yet the Who are probably not in my top 7 or 8 bands. I think Robert just described them perfectly. They were always just under my radar, but yet always there. Just all, you'd go to a party, they'd be playing Who's Next, or they'd be playing Tommy or something. They were always there, but like I said, I had I had Live at Leeds, which is one of the great live albums of all time. I had a couple of comps. I had Tommy, and I had this one, which I absolutely love. This is a great record. Who by Numbers. I love this record. Slip Kid is a great song. Squeezebox is fine, I mean, I get it. How many and In a Hand or a Face? I love those 2 songs back to back. Success Story opens the second side. It's a terrific song. I actually prefer Pete Townshend's vocals over Roger Daltrey's. When Pete Townshend's singing, there's something about Daltrey's voice. I get it. It's obviously he's got an incredible voice, but I just prefer the softness of Townshend's much more. And that's probably why I gravitate. I love Pete Townshend's solo records too. So my number 4 is Who by Numbers.
Beautiful.
There's also versions of this where the numbers are connected.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure those are later pressings. I think they were released simultaneously, at least in the U.S. Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 4, I do not have it on an album. I have it on a CD. It is called The Who. It is either called A Quick One if you're in the UK, or in the US it's called Happy Jack. I actually prefer the US one because it has the single Happy Jack instead of the Who doing Martha and the Vandellas Heat Wave,
Not
which
good.
doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I can see why in America they'd be like, yeah, the Motown is here and you guys are here. We don't, yeah, no. And Martha and the Vandellas aren't going to do, My Generation either. So, this is a great. Again, a lot of great songs. There's ones that I'm not really keen on, like Boris the Spider. I never cared for that. But Run, Run, Run is a great way to start off. I love the little 2.5 minute, just those little banger songs that the Who has. And they're usually on singles or they're B-sides. But sometimes they show up on albums as well. Run, Run, Run is one of those. Don't Look Away is great. So Sad About Us is another one of those like a love song type of things that you don't really kind of expect from the Who. The big one though is the big epic at the end of the album. That's my favorite song on the whole one. It's the reason it's my number 4 and not number 5. And a lot of people don't like it, but A Quick One While He's Away. I love the sprawling thing of that. Considering that when this came out, it's pretty controversial. He's talking about the engine driver, and he picks up the woman and her husband's away, and he has an affair with her, and he lays with her in the afternoon, and she sits on his lap, and it's funny, it's theatrical, it's shocking. I mean, for this time, just like the Who, it's part punk rock, part theatrical, part shocking. I mean, I think it really defines the Who in one big long song. But yeah, Quick One While He's Away is definitely my favorite song on here. I do like the Happy Jack single though too, which is not on the UK one. But kind of a forgotten about Who album. A lot of these albums kind of get forgotten because the Who are known for those compilations. They were constantly coming out with compilations. The big one Mike showed, Meaty, Beady, Big and Bouncy. They also had the Who Hooligans for the later stuff, the double album, which has all that stuff on there. They had the one Craig showed for later on. They had the Who Hits 50. They had the Who's Greatest Hits, where it just has the Union Jack flag on the front. They had Who's Better, Who's Best. That was the one that came out right when CDs came out. They have the big one that everybody should have if they have the CDs. This is the one to have if you want a CD, the ultimate Who. This is a double disc that lasts like 3 hours or something, and it's just got almost everything on it. That's awesome.
Hooligans is great. It has Joined Together on there, which I don't think is on any of their albums. It's got a bunch of stuff that's not on.
And every time they have those compilations, they have stuff that's not on other albums. Their discography is, like I said, it's such a mess. But a quick one from the Who is my number 4.
That one almost made my list. I really was, debating whether I was going to have that in, in the number 5 spot because, it is. It is a really solid. Interesting thing I was reading about that is when after their debut, the record company kind of forced them into, all right, you guys need to produce a record, but everybody has to write a song, and so that's why you're getting these other songs that are by Keith Moon and by Entwistle and
it's very uneven, and that's
I think one of the weakest songs, in my opinion, anyway, was the Daltrey was one of the Daltrey songs. I mean, it's a good song, but it's compared to some of the others, but it did not make the cut. My number 4, and I don't have a copy of it, but my number 4 is their debut, My Generation. That is, it's got it's got some great hits or classic ones. The Kids Are All Right, My Generation, of course, but it's got that Who attitude, just really clear, and that wasn't necessarily going to come back so quickly, at least with a studio album, until a little bit later. Or perhaps even much later, not until the 70s, 1971, to be precise. But I just out in the street. A Legal Matter is kind of a little on the funny, whimsical side. But The Kids Are All Right, My Generation. I do need to get this, into my collection. But like you all were saying, it was my introduction to the Who wasn't until I guess it would have been 69 when my brother came home with with the record that's going to be my number three. So that was my introduction. And as typical with me, I often, when I'm introduced to a band, I start going forward with them. It isn't until later that I go backwards. But yeah, anyway, my generation. Talking about my generation.
I know that song. Okay. Number 4 for me. I would also like to say that I have heard the name Roger Daltrey so many times throughout my life. I didn't know that was. I didn't know he was in the Who. I knew Pete Townsend was. I knew that. So at least I knew that. So that just tells you how little I knew about this band or even cared. And I don't mean that in any disrespect. It never was. They were never something that I felt like I wanted to invest any time in, other than the few songs that I've heard. And very interesting catalog. Like, I think that's just going to be said over and over again. So number 4 for me is Quadrophenia from 1973. It may be on my list simply for Love Reign Over Me, or Over Me. I can't say it. I want to say over. I can't say or me. I think that song is incredible. Aura. Someone
Aura.
say it. Aura.
Rain
There's no
over.
ra. It's or.
It's or.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Or. Okay,
It's a
I'm
poet
just going to
thing.
say Love Reign Over Me, even though I know it's or there. Oh, shut up. Okay. It was interesting. I kind of got like the gist of the story. Some kids, like, he's a hipster or something. He likes the Who, and he's gonna go see them. Or I don't know. I've never seen the movie. I've never seen the other movie. But yeah, I liked like how like there was the instrumentation, and then it would go into little short snippets, and then you had really long stuff, and yeah. So number 4 for me, Quadrophenia.
My number 3 is Quad.
Oh,
John Entwisle's bass work on this is out of this world. I mean, The Real Me is listen, block up that entire song. It is stunning what he's doing with his fingers. The whole.
He's on a fretless bass too when he plays that, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, this is John Entwistle's masterpiece. He's never played better than any other Who record. There's some moments on here I think that are great. The Real Me, 515. I like Cut My Hair. Punk and Godfather I really like. I like Drown. It's bloated. I think it's and could you pare it down? Yeah. Would it affect the story? Probably not, because the story doesn't make any sense.
To a single.
Right. It's really I don't like the how Love Reign Over Me keeps coming back. It gets
they do say that a lot.
reprising it, and I don't like that all that much. Honestly, I don't like that song all that much. But man, it's got good moments. The Real Me is fucking awesome. So I don't know. This almost was lower, but yeah, just because the musicianship, the story makes no damn sense. I'm sorry, I got lost. I mean, I get vaguely what he's trying to do, but it doesn't really completely for me. I don't know. I don't think he was ever all that satisfied with it when he wrote it. So, yeah, that's my.
So my number 3 is a bit of a tie. And the reason that is because I kind of wanted to include this one album, but then I wasn't sure if we were doing that. So it's kind of like My number 3, though, is Ty, and one of them is, like Richard said, the debut, The Who, My Generation, which in the United States was called My Generation, The Who Sings My Generation, or something like that. There are differences. They're slight. There's one song that's different. I'm a Man is on the English one, and on the American one is Instant Party. I prefer the I'm a Man one. And also, The Kids Are All Right is longer on the UK version than on the US version. So I always wanted to get the UK version on vinyl, and this is why I don't have it, is because I never wanted to get the US one. I could have got it for $12 or whatever here and there, 10, whatever. It's never super cheap. If I found it for $3, I might pick it up. But I always wanted to hold out and try to get that UK one, and no one ever has it. I never see it.
Yeah,
one of these days, I'm just going to go ahead and order it off the internet and be done with it. But I have all those songs on compilations and stuff like that. So it's not like I don't have My Generation, The Kids Are All Right. A Legal Matter. I mean, talk about a maturity right from the get-go on this punk rock band that's just rocking these kids. And this guy's talking about divorce and, getting the lawyers involved. On the very first album, they're so ahead of what people used to give them credit for. Plus, it's just a rock and roll album. They don't get more rock and roll than their very first release, and I love that about that. It's tied with Magic Bus, which if I had this really on my list would knock off the Who's Sell Out. But Magic Bus is, of course, a US-only album. It's made up of a bunch of songs that were not released on albums in the US, and it's also got a couple of songs that were, so it's kind of half a comp and half not. It's very weirdly called The Who Magic Bus, The Who on Tour. Makes it sound like a live album, but it's not. But wow, what a listen this is. I would rather just listen to this than a quick one or the Who Sell Out with all of these great... It's like Mike said about Odds and Sods. Just song after song. Disguises is brilliant. Of course, this has Run, Run, Run on it. That great song that I love so much from A Quick Run. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is great. I Can't Reach You is the beautiful song I was talking about from A Quick One. It's got all the... I wish this had A Quick One while he's away on it. It'd be even better. Our Love Was Is, another beautiful Who's song that, these guys rock out and they do something like that. Call Me Lightning is another one of those awesome little B-sides. It's a tricky little number. Magic Bus is a little bit different on here. Bucket T is just silliness. Sounds like a little kids group, but it's great. Pictures of Lily is another one of those slightly yikes controversial songs. Someone's Coming. There's not a bad song on here. That's the thing. And a lot of these you couldn't get on any other album. So this is why I kind of consider this an album. But then again, it's not. So that's why I kind of tied it at number 3 with their debut, My Generation. So, but yeah, I would definitely pick this up. And I was lucky enough to get this as a present and a super clean, like near mint copy of this, because you never see this anywhere but beat up versions. So handle with care. But yeah, The Who, Magic Bus. Love it. And if you want to hear this, you can't just stream it, but I do have this on a playlist on my YouTube page if you want to hear how it sounds, because you can't. It's not in their discography online. So those are my number 3s.
Well, my number 3 is my introduction for my brother. He had this album, and I used to have this on vinyl, and I don't anymore. I have it on CD, but this was my first hearing of The Who, and that's Tommy. And so I was like 11, 12 years old listening to this record. And it was one of those moments in, my young mind where I was like, oh my God, this is like nothing I've heard on the radio. I've been listening, I know all the pop songs that have been playing on the radio, and the hits and things like that. And then, this expansive, this sprawling musical story. I mean, even with the overture at the opening, just like really blew me away. And then I was very intrigued with the subject, the boy Tommy. It was, I don't know. It was just this story. There were times when I would be listening to it, I would find myself projecting myself into the role of Tommy. Uh, just weird. I was a weird little boy. There's one song on here though that always kind of bothered me. And that's the closer, We're Not Gonna Take It. It's a great song. I like it. It's a great melody. I like how it builds up. I was just always bothered by the line though, where they say, we're not gonna take you. We're gonna rape you. Let's forget you. Better still. That line always bothered me. It just really. And I could never, in all my listening, I could never figure out, why are they saying this? Why was it necessary? I felt like it was just really off the cuff. It was just,
This is
really,
the
really
Frank
bothered.
Zappa fan speaking, just to remind everyone.
But I know what I'm getting with Frank Zappa. But anyway, everything else. I mean, Sensation, Smash the Mirror. There's all of these. Acid Queen, Cousin Kevin. It's just, it is such it is Amazing Journey. That's one of the songs, Amazing Journey. It is just, and I need to probably get it on vinyl again. I can't remember what happened to it. I did have at least an early pressing that had the big booklet and everything. I don't think it was the first pressing. My brother had the first pressing, and I had that for a while, but then that disappeared. But anyway, yeah, Tommy. I never liked the movie adaptation or whatever. I never liked the Elton John Pinball Wizard thing. I never liked those. I just never liked those.
And Margaret rolling around in baked beans.
Wasn't she nominated for that?
The cover also
nominated for an Oscar? I don't know.
The cover also really. I would stare at this cover for while listening to the record. It just really kind of blew my mind. With these holes in this like spherical object, and then with these birds that are flying out of them, but the birds are all headless or they're blind. It's just, there was a lot going on with this record that was really blowing my mind, and that's my number 3, Tommy.
Tina Turner did Acid Queen, right?
Yes.
I mean, not on this version.
That's probably the only redo or well, no, she did. Wait a minute. Now it's been a long time since I've listened to this. She's on the original, isn't she? No, she's not.
She was in the movie.
I did like her.
She actually came out with an album that had that on there too, called Acid Queen. That's pretty
good.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Because when I heard it, I was like, oh, I've heard Tina, because,
The camp with the difference. Never mind about. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to experience Tommy again. But it was interesting. But that's not on my list. So that's my only comment about Tommy, is that I just don't know if I want to experience it again. And here we go. Get ready. For number 3.
Uh-oh.
No, did you say Who Are You? You are incorrect. Face Dances.
Jesus, I was giving you too much credit. I almost introduced you as the guy who will have 80s Who on his list, but I didn't want to be wrong.
I figured I would probably be the one.
Wow.
I didn't think I would, but I liked the cheesy 80s production of it. It was like Bruce Hornsby in The Range, but like good. And I like the opening track, You Better Bet. I like the Don't Let You. I don't know if I want to use the word sonically, but it's just kind of like
Another Tricky Day is on there, right?
I think so. I mean, I can't.
It's a good song.
It's a good song. Yeah, no, best
I
song.
yeah. I don't know why this was one I felt like I could listen to again, and then I did listen to it again, and I enjoyed it. This one might have played at least 3 times.
I like You Better You Bet.
I do
Pretty
too.
good.
It's a good. That one was a good opening. There's some moments on it that aren't that great, but compared to some of the other
It's
ones,
better than It's Hard. I would rather hear that.
that's
than
that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
one. Yeah, no, that one. No,
But
that was not.
has best songs of all time on it, and that's Eminence Front. I love Eminence Front.
Wow, we're really getting.
I love
Was
that.
that like the? Was that the opening or?
Yeah, it's the one that keeps saying people forget it. People forget. Do, 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 do,
That should
do, 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 do.
So yeah, there you have it. Number 3 for me. Yes, a Who from the '80s.
Well, early. It's as early as
Early.
as you can get.
I mean, it's 81,
81.
but yeah, but still,
only
no,
been.
nothing after that.
So number 2.
Number 2.
This is I'm going with Who's Next. It's one of those songs. It's like Zeppelin 4. It's like an album that's like above like all these other classic rock albums. It's right there. I mean, it's one of the great albums of all time, right? I think if you take the 3 big singles off of this, it still might have their best songs on it. I mean, if you take Bubba O'Reilly, Won't Get Fooled Again, and Behind Blue Eyes, it's still a really good record. I mean, it's got my favorite Who single is Going Mobile. I love that song. It's got Bargain.
Maybe.
Love Ain't for Keeping.
No, Bargain is good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Getting in Tune. It's my song. The song is over. Entwistle's My Wife. Probably his best song that he did. I love this record. Do I ever play it? Very, very seldom. It's one of those albums that was just worn out when I was a kid. You know, it's like Frampton Comes Alive or Rumors or Zeppelin 4. I haven't listened to those albums in 25 years. But this was a good listen. I cranked this in the car. I turned it up real loud. And again, Going Mobile is such a great song. I love that song. But my number 2.
It is also my number 2. I have an MCA Records version of this. It's so fucking embarrassing. But yeah, the Who's Next? This is their classic album. This is the one, like Mike said, is up there with a Led Zeppelin album or something like that, because it's just great hard rock songs.
Yeah.
There's none of this commercials or theme going on or these interludes or whatever. It's just great song after great song. And 2 of their absolute classics, Baba O'Reilly. I mean, they're bookended. Baba O'Reilly starts it off and Won't Get Fooled Again ends it. So it's kind of like, and then you have, like Mike said, all these great songs in between, Bargain and Going Mobile, and The Song Is Over again with the beautiful piano, slowing things down and proving that they're more than just this hard rock band. I mean, this is the classic Who album, and the front cover of that is just brilliant.
Yeah.
I made a video where I talked about, I didn't have this record at the time, and I talked about albums that I have on CD that I'm ashamed that I don't have on vinyl, and then somebody actually gave me this. That's why I had the MCA one. I didn't have this at the time. And so in the video, I tried to recreate the cover, and I was drinking so much water and stuff, and I pissed all over the side of my house, and then I found out that it didn't show up. And so then I pissed all over the other side of my house that has a concrete thing like this on the underside, and it didn't show up. And so then I pissed all over a tree. This went on for hours. Pissed all over a tree.
That video.
And finally, that barely showed up, but that's what's in the video. So yeah, if you want to see my video about things I was ashamed I didn't have on vinyl because I didn't have this at the time, I pissed all over a tree. That's why it was a tree, because that's the only thing that would show up after 3 or 4 different urinating on multiple things outside, by the way, in broad daylight. But yeah, there's my Who's Next.
It's East St. Louis.
That is actual urine on that tree, by the way. I don't fake shit. But yeah, pissed all over the side of my house, pissed all over the other side. And it just would not show up in the video. I don't know why. But yeah, classic Who album, by the way. I digress. My number 2, with the number 1 on it, is Who's Next?
I'm next. And my number two could be my number one as well. But this was the record of my senior year in high school. I mean, this Quadrophenia again. I mean, I was so blown away by Tommy, and then when this came out, this was to me my life. This is, and it spoke to a lot of other kids at that time. In my generation, we just so strongly identified with what was going on, with this the character.
He's talking about his generation.
Yeah,
That's his generation, baby.
that's right. It's my generation. But again, I Am the Sea, the opening with the ocean, and then kind of the same way with the way Tommy and the way Who's Next, the opening and closing, the way musically they bring everything together. They're doing the same thing here with the I Am the Sea opening, and then Love Rain Over. I want to say over also.
Yeah,
Love Rain Over Me.
Right.
But so many songs in here that The Real Me, The Punk and the Godfather, Helpless Dancer. Oh, the line in there. If you complain, you'll disappear, like all the lesbians and queers. Listening to that line. I mean, every time I listen to that song, I get the rigors. It's just, it's such a chilling and pointed song. And Dr. Jimmy, it took me a long time because there's a lot of references with British bands about Mr. Jimmy, and trying to kind of understanding, what, who this archetype is, of Mr. Jimmy. But yeah, the sea and sand, the almost despondent, almost, the feelings of like, what's going on in my life? Where am I going? What's the point? These were things that myself and a lot of, kids that I knew at that time, we were thinking, what does life hold for us? It just didn't seem like life was holding a whole lot for us, and nobody seemed to understand. Like my fried eggs make me sick first thing in the morning. The Punk Meets the Godfather. That's such a great song. This, to me, yeah. I took this, in fact, this record, I was raised Catholic, and I had to go to catechism classes. And so in my senior year, I was in the adult catechism class for non-Catholics who were wanting to convert. So they had to go to these classes, so they could get their first communion and all that kind of stuff. I played songs during one of the classes, talking about, in my own, I don't know, passive aggressive way of how I thought that the church was just full of shit, and it really wasn't doing anything for me, and this is how I felt. And if the church wanted to connect with me, it had to understand that, and it didn't. So I was turning my back on the church because the church turned its back on me. That was kind of my attitude at that time, and that this record still speaks to me that way. So it is really, really powerful album for me, really emotional connection with it. It could have been number one, but no, I've got a different one for number one.
Did you ever see them perform it live?
I've never seen The Who.
Oh, I saw Townsend and Daltrey do it live about 10 years ago, and it was pretty impressive, like all the way through. Even Daltrey, like his vocals stood up through the whole thing. It was really good.
I would like to see that.
So number two for me, I like the weird intro things and the quirkiness of it, and yeah, "Sell Out" is number 2 for me. It was refreshing, like, after the first 2, not saying that they were terrible, the first 2, it just, like, there were moments that I really enjoyed, but then, like, this one, I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's kinda my jam," like, just because it was quirky and it was all over the place, and then the songs that were good were really, really good, and then you had some that weren't. I liked Marianne with her shaky hand. I don't know
That's a great song.
the story
Oh yeah,
behind
I forgot
that
about
or
that one.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's a pretty good song. Yeah, I like
I
Marianne
like
because
Mary,
she's got
and
that shaky hand.
this is the
Betty
one
can
where
cook, but I like
yeah,
Marianne with the shaky
got her
hand.
shaky
Yeah,
hands. Yeah, that's the
yeah.
one where they say what's the tea in it, right? This is the out. They say what's the tea? What's the tea? What's the tea? Is that this album? I don't know. I listened to so much.
I don't
Bucket
remember.
tea?
No, they're saying what's the tea? Like the gays do now. They're like, "What's the tea? Tell me what the tea is." I'm like,
The gays say that?
"Oh, all that. Have you? Where have you been?"
The
I mean,
what?
I know I'm a minute younger than some of you, but like, hello, all the gays are like, "Ooh, what's the tea? Tell me,
What
like,
neighborhood did the gays live in?
what's the going on?" And I don't even know all the gay slur crap, but I know what's the tea.
You know more.
Well, now I've learned y'all something. And then there was a line that was in Rocky Horror Picture Show. Was it the Charles Atlas? Did they say something about Charles Atlas? Y'all would know better than
They
me.
say Atlas, the bodybuilder. What's his name?
Oh, what
Rocky.
no.
No, Atlas.
Charles Atlas.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
is that?
right.
Yeah. They talk
Yeah,
about
Charles
him.
he was
Yeah,
in comic books when I was a
But
kid. There was
it's
always an ad for Charles Atlas.
yeah. He's the bodybuilder that I couldn't think if his name was really Charles or not. But
yeah,
yeah,
it's Charles Atlas, but that line is in Rocky Horror Picture Show. So I was like,
yeah. Well,
oh,
Charles Atlas was
I
a
got
real person.
yeah, well, I know that, but I just it's exactly what they say in this song. They say in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, okay.
Whatever song it was, yeah, that's where I was going. I really liked Tattoo. That was a fun story, and I Can See for Miles was good too. So I mean, really, I don't know. I just kind of like I said, I liked the quirkiness and the like weird. I don't know about the baked beans thing, but that was a little strange. But I mean, it was all whatever. Okay, Mike.
Oh, wow.
You, it's number one.
One.
Number
My
one.
one is I think it's probably obvious. Tommy. This is like one of those. It's like Sergeant Pepper. Can you imagine hearing this for the first time when it came out? You know, riding your bike to the record store and picking it up and being like, "What the hell?" You know. Although this holds up a hell of a lot better than Sergeant Pepper does. This is for me. This is everything that Quadrophenia isn't. I love the story. I love the orchestration. I love the musicianship. Just the way it flows. It flows better for me as an album and as a production. I've seen the movie. I've seen it live. I've seen. Yeah, it starts off with the overture. Boy, just the way it's done, the way it's laid out, the way it rolls into each other. I think this is absolutely perfect. It's not bloated. I don't think. I think every song on here is needed. Whereas with Quadrophenia, I really don't. The artwork, again, awesome. I mean, what a great package of artwork this thing is. I mean, it's yeah. I love Tommy, and I think it's probably their best record and my favorite.
Okay, my number one is Tommy. I just keep repeating Mike lately, but yeah, not only all the brilliant music, the Sparks, even the instrumental was good enough to use in they used that in the movie Almost Famous.
Yeah.
So it got used in another movie, but the whole storyline, but the whole ending with "We're Not Gonna Take It," which incorporates also "See Me, Feel Me," the earlier version of "See Me, Feel Me," which is a little bit faster. Miracle Cure, and Amazing Journey, and Do You Think It's All Right, and Acid Queen, and just the whole story, the holiday camp and whatever. It gets kind of, I can see where it gets kind of silly if you don't know the story or you're not paying attention to. You have to pay attention to the lyrics. You can't just listen to the music or you're not going to get what's going on, and you're going to think, why are they talking about holiday camps and why are they who the hell is Uncle Ernie? What?
Don't go.
Why is he doing what? But yeah, but it's an excellent album. And this was my this still is. This is because I'm not on Facebook anymore. I gave up Facebook like 3 years ago. And even 3 years before that, I made this probably longer ago, probably like 10 years ago. I made this my banner. And it has stayed that now it's stuck in Arrested Development. It is still my banner on Facebook, just hanging out there. But Tommy always means something beyond just the great album or whatever. I probably told this story before. I know I've told it on my own video. Get ready to get bored with it again. But I had a twin brother, and, you know, he was developmentally disabled, profoundly so. He had the intellect of an infant, and he was born, you know, with brain damage and all that, but he lived to be in his 30s, and his name was Tommy. So a lot of parallels with this album and him, and being somebody, like I said, you have to imagine somebody that has the intellect of an infant. So he cannot talk, he cannot walk, he can't really communicate other than just sounds. He has not really a personality. Crude people would say, you know, the crude word would be a vegetable. People don't use words like that anymore, thankfully. But, you know, I did his stuff for his funeral, the eulogy and the video and the music and all that, and used Tommy, Can You Hear Me? And it was, I mean, so perfect. It was ridiculous. I mean, I had family members who were not into classic rock or rock music, didn't really know anything about the who thought that I had commissioned some group to do that song or something.
Oh, wow.
It was insane. But yeah, being this was my Facebook banner, there were only 2 people on Earth that could put it together, because anybody that knew my twin brother really didn't know that much about the Who, and anybody that was on my Facebook that knew about the Who didn't know I had a twin brother named Tommy and all the stuff that went with that. So this is, you know, just so much more to me than an album or a great Who album or a great rock opera. This is so personal, especially that Tommy, Can You Hear Me song. You know, can you see me? Can you feel me? I want to help to cheer you. What can I do for you? You're my twin brother. I want to help you, but I can't. I don't know what to do. You're just sitting there, you know, laying there, whatever. But yeah, it's beyond. I mean, there is no other album like this for me. That's just complete. I mean, sure, you grow up like Richard was talking about. You have teen angst, so you relate to the teen angst albums, or you're going through a bitter divorce or something, so you relate to the country divorce song. But I mean, something so specific that no other rock band has talked about, really. But yeah, so I mean, or sung about. So that's just another reason to make this number one. Otherwise, probably the Who's next would be number one. But yeah, this is just so personal and so incredible to me. So yeah, Tommy, my number one.
Well, follow that up, Richard.
Well, you know, with my
hard.
top three album, they're so close. You know, I mean, it's not like, okay, this is number 2 over, you know, number 3 because it's, you know, so much better of an album. No, they're the increments, the reason why I'm placing them the way they are. You know, it's just, you know, it's just one of those things. Now, my 4 and 5s are definitely lower tier, in, you know, my opinion, compared with these others. But yeah, for the number one, for me, it's Who's Next. To me, this is a perfect rock album, from start to finish. There's nothing wasted in here. It is, you know, there's a handful of perfect records out there that are, at least in my mind, that are, you know, perfect. You know, they're perfect recordings, and this is probably the top one of the ones that I would list. Yeah, and I still listen to this a lot. There are plenty of times where of course, living in an apartment, I got to put my headphones on, you know, because you know, I got to crank this. Yeah. And I love that song, you know, My Wife. I love that line about where he's saying, I just got to lay down on the floor so I can get some rest, so I can get up and run some more. I mean, that's just such a great line in that song. But yeah, um, yeah, everyone's talked about this. I don't really have anything else to say other than, to me, yes, it is a perfect, 6 stars out of 5 record.
Oh. Oh, it's time for me.
Yes.
Okay. Mhm. What is that one? The other one from the '80s? It's that one. It's
It's
not.
hard.
Yeah, it's hard. That's number one. Nothing greater. I don't. Yeah, no, I couldn't even get that. Actual, that one I couldn't get through. Um, yeah. So this is the one that I actually enjoyed really like all the way through, and thought maybe I might even purchase it. I will go back and revisit Tommy. I said I probably never wanted to hear it again, but I will go back and revisit it. Just that first listen didn't work for me. But yeah, so by numbers from 1975. I like Squeeze Box. I just always liked that song. And fun fact, Laura Branigan covered it. I bet y'all didn't know that, huh?
No, we did not know that.
I didn't say it was good, but she covered it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's an odd cover for a woman to sing.
Yeah. It's not good, but and
it's an odd song anyway. You're talking about your mom and her
I know it's
vagina.
I
mean,
an
any
odd song,
gender
but
sings that. It's odd.
But she made it kind of this almost like, I think it was either late '80s, early '90s when she did it, and it was like this total like pop song type thing that she's trying to do with it. It was not good, but I mean, she also did a cover of the Name Game, so I mean, we can't say Laura Branigan was brilliant in her covers. Blue, Red, and Gray. That one I really, 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 really enjoyed. That is a really, really, really great song. I'm saying lots of reallys apparently. Really. I'm saying really. So I don't have a lot to say other than
Steely Dan here.
What?
You're reeling in the years.
Yeah. Am I reeling in the years?
That was a stretch. I know. I know. I was really stretching it.
Yeah. No. Do I really want to hurt you? That you got to say something like that. Yeah. So that's it. But Who? I've listened to all the records now.
And the Who, as Richard said before when he mentioned lesbians and queers, the Who, unlike some of these groups like Depeche Mode and Violent Femmes with their gay baiting, actually has a member in it that's LGBTQ. So that's nobody brought that up, but yeah. So
who?
I guess we didn't. Who?
Pete Townsend.
Does he? Really? I had no idea he identified as.
Yeah, he's out and proud. He's
really.
He said the first time he wanted. He said that you didn't know that.
That's not a book, and I've read his book.
He said the first time he was backstage watching Mick Jagger dance, and that was the first time he knew that he wanted to fuck a guy, and he used those words.
I guess
yeah, he's rough boys.
Rough boys makes sense now, huh?
Yeah. None of you knew that.
I didn't.
I did not know that.
No. That's why it wasn't mentioned, Robert Fitton.
Wow.
We need you to tell us these things.
Who's gay and who's not? Well, Pete Townsend identifies as bisexual.
No.
So that's the Who. In our top 5, we'll just end it right there.
Let's do it. Let's end it.
So coming up is 1977. The year of the Miko song we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
We're also going to talk about why we always talk about the music we like, but we never really talk about why we like the music we like in general. Like what draws us into music? What is it about music that makes it such a big part of our life? We'll do a whole show about that. We'll probably be going live again sometime soon, so join us for all that and much, much more. Once again, thank you for watching. We are the Vinyl Community Guncles. Please put your favorite Who albums in the comments. And I'm Robert Fitton, along with
Richard here at Kelvin Wazoo.
Craig's Vinyl Plethora.
And Mike at Hub Tunes.
Hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye bye.